everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me MG if you would like, and today I have for you the official Somber Honey Reading Challenge 2025 announcement, and this year we are doing things a little bit differently. So for the past 2 years, I've been running the Somber Honey Reading Challenge, which has been a list of 12 prompts, one for each month of the year, and you just pick a book during that month that fits the appropriate prompt. This year, though, I wanted to do things a little bit different, so we have a bingo board. I think it's so fun. Bingos are making a comeback in the community. I feel like for a while there, people weren't doing the bingo boards for reading challenges, but I've seen a little bit of a resurgence, and I thought, let's try that out for 2025. So there are more prompts, twice as many actually, but it is less structured because you can read them at any point in the year. It's not like, this is the January prompt, this is the February prompt. It's literally, whenever you read a book, you check if it fits a bingo. So it's easier in my opinion, but there are also way more prompts, so maybe it's not easier. I personally will not be doubling up on things because I like that little bit of challenge, but this is totally up to you guys for what you want to do. If you want to double up, you can, triple up even. If you find one book that fits like 8 different prompts, all the power to you. I love that. Cross them all off. You can also do things a little differently in that maybe you want to only do books that you've read for the first time, or maybe you want to complete the board with only rereads or only nonfiction. Literally anything works as long as it works for you. So I'm going to pop a little graphic up on screen for you to follow along with as I explain all of the prompts, and I will try not to take too long to do so. I'm not going to give any examples in this video for books that cover the prompts. I will be doing that in the new year, having 1, maybe 2 videos because there are a ton of prompts. But also, a lot of these are subjective. I feel like maybe half of them are very dependent on you as a person as to how you can fulfill the prompt, which sounds a little bit weird, but it'll make sense as we go, so let's just get into explaining them. Starting with the top row, the first prompt is a prepositional phrase in the title. So prepositions are words like on, in, under, above. So as long as it has a phrase with that word in the title, it counts for this prompt. Then we have a prime page number. So a prime number is a number that is only divisible by 1 and itself, and you have to find a book where the page number is a prime number. Pretty self-explanatory. Then we have a book that would be on a school curriculum. So this could be a book that you personally read in school or just something that you think would be taught in schools. And it could be middle school, high school, college, any of that. I know college courses tend to get a little bit specialized, so as long as you can justify why you think it would be on some sort of school curriculum, you can probably fit any book here. Then we have a book with 3 or more fonts on the full spread cover. So this could be the title is written in one font, and then the author's name is written in a different one, and then the blurb on the back of the book is in a third font. Any sort of combination as long as there are 3 or more fonts. And then finally for the top row, we have the title is a compound word. A compound word is one word that is made up of 2 words smushed together. And I've seen quite a lot of books with this kind of titling convention floating around the internet, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. But if you do have trouble, like I said, I will be doing a recommendations video in the new year. The second row of prompts starts off with a non-binary author or protagonist. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. Also self-explanatory, we have an author's debut. It doesn't have to be like a new debut. If you want to read the first book James Patterson ever published, whenever that was, years and years and years ago, that would count as long as it is the author's first release. You could also fudge this a little bit. So say you have an author that you love who writes primarily romance, but then they suddenly veer off into thrillers and you read their first thriller release, you could count that as their thriller debut, and I would consider that fulfilling this prompt, even if they'd published all those romance books before. So it's a little bit loose. You can interpret this in a couple different ways. Then we have another pretty easy prompt, which is just a book with a number in the title, and then a book with an insect on the cover. No bonus points for it being a bee, but I'll give you some bonus points in my heart because they are unofficially the mascot of the Somber Honey Books reading challenge, because honey, bees, it makes sense to me. And then finally, we have a book that is the last in a series. Moving down to the third row, the first prompt in this row is the title and author start with the same letter, which I think is really fun, and it'll be a little bit more challenging to find, but I don't think it'll be too hard. With this, you can decide for yourself if you want to include a, an, or the as part of the title. So if it's like the blank, you can either count the T as the first letter, or whatever the first letter of the word following the is, and match it up with the name of the author and also with the author. I had the intention of it being the author's first name, but if it's the author's last name, that would also count. Like I said, as long as these work for you, it works for me. Just do the challenge the way you want to do it. The next prompt in this row is the first book on your TBR alphabetically, and you can define TBR however you want. It could be your physical TBR, your Kindle TBR. It could just be a list of books that you want to read during the month, and you pick from those. It's really up to you, as with everything else. Then we come to the free space, which is still a prompt, but it's also the free space, so it's just read literally any book. If you finish any book at all in the year of 2025, then you have completed this prompt. Then we have a really fun one, which is the page number ends in your birth date. So for example, my birthday is September 19th, so I have to find a book where the last two digits of the page number are 19. And it's going to be a little bit challenging, but I think it's going to be super fun. And then we have a rhyme in the title. It doesn't have to be an exact rhyme, slant rhymes are a thing. I'm willing to be forgiving on this with your definition of rhyme, especially because some people have accents, so, well, technically everyone has an accent, but you know what I mean. So, like, people could pronounce things differently, so two words that don't rhyme to me might rhyme to someone else. Again, let the prompts work the way they work for you. Moving down to the penultimate row of prompts, we have a book with a light source on the cover. Pretty simple. Then we have a book that no one else is talking about. I put this on here with the intention of it being like a book you've never heard anyone mention on BookTube, but it also doesn't have to be BookTube specifically. It could be up to interpretation. Then we have author shares your name. This could be your first name, it could be your last name, it could be a nickname. Again, make the prompts work for you. Then we have a book that reminds you of your favorite food or drink, so it could be mentioned in the title, a picture on the cover, it could be the colors that remind you of it, or maybe it's set in a place that your favorite dish is that nationality. Anything like that works. And then we have by the author of your favorite 2024 read, which I think is a fun way to kind of carry over the good vibes from 2024 into 2025. And moving down to the last row of prompts. First up, we have the title is a pun, which is always a fun one for me. Then we have a book that's related to one of your hobbies. This could be a nonfiction book about something that you're interested in, or it could be like, say you crochet, and you find a book where the main character also crochets. That would count. Or if you enjoy hiking and you read a book that takes place in an outdoorsy wooded area, that would count. Then we have a book set where you live. You could be specific on this and go with the city that you live in or town, or you could be vague about it and just be like, this takes place in the same country. Again, make it work for you. Then we have an interesting one, which is a book that is compared to a book you didn't like. And I put this on here because it's happened a couple of times for me now, where I've read a book and people online say, oh, this is very reminiscent of this other book or series, and I didn't enjoy that book or series, but the book that I picked up I ended up really enjoying, so it's an interesting one. And finally, the last prompt down in the corner is a neurodivergent author or protagonist, which again is pretty self-explanatory. Alrighty, friends. Those are all of the prompts for the Somber Honey Book Bingo 2025 Reading Challenge. I definitely didn't say those words in the same order as I did at the beginning of the video, but I don't think it matters. If you have any questions about these, you can leave them in the comments, and I will try to explain things maybe a little better than I did in this video. I hope I explained them well enough, though. But yeah, we have now come to the end of this. Be sure to keep an eye out in the future for those recommendation videos that I said I was going to do. And if you enjoyed this video and you're excited for the reading challenge, be sure to give this a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I will see you guys in the next one. Bye everyone!